Welcome, bienvenidos to our Committee of the Whole meeting for October 17th. We will start with roll call. Director Decker.
I'm here.
Director Barros.
Here.
Director Smith.
Here.
Director Sproul will not be able to join us tonight. So I am here and we do have quorum and we're in attendance. I will turn this now over to Brett, since Dr. Snell is out of town this week, who will lead us through our meeting tonight.
All right, thank you, Director Zvala. Try to share a screen here so that we can march through what's shaped up to be a pretty short agenda, relatively compared to some of the Committee of the Whole meetings we've navigated. So hopefully you're all able to see the screen now with the agenda. So we do not have a superintendent's report for tonight, so we can jump straight down to contracts, and I'll go ahead and march us through those as we normally do. The first one of the recommendations, again, just to frame this work, as you all know, this is your opportunity to preview and ask any questions that you might have for action items that we would request that you consider for your November board meetings. So in order to preview those, we'll march through them one at a time. The first one is our recommendation to award quotation number 2023-054. It is a 5-year pipe inspection for our fire systems. We'll have another item relating to fire systems at the end. This is more the plumbing aspect of it. The sprinkler systems themselves were required by fire code to have them inspected every 5 years. And so we have a rotating schedule based on how many buildings are on various 5-year schedules. This particular quotation would cover 18 of the schools that are due for those 5-year updates and inspections. And so the recommendation is to award that quotation number 2023-054 to Costco Fire Systems. That's Costco without a T, in the amount of $50,975 plus Washington State sales tax. And the funding source on this is our general operating fund. Any questions on the every 5 years pipe inspections relating to our fire systems? All right, then we'll move into some celebrations of contracts that have been completed. Some of the first two, there's 4 of them in total. And again, these are just items that are significant enough in scope that we ask the board to act on the final acceptance of those so that we can close out the project. They can proceed with the release of their retainage and all the sign-offs from the state agencies that govern some of these projects. So the first 2 are related to our capital projects or bond funds. So that's great celebration of the work that is happening in terms of our facilities for our students and staff. The first one is our recommendation to accept bid number 2023-009. And this was the site preparation and relocation of a portable from Franklin Elementary to Fort Vancouver High School. That contract was awarded, or that bid was awarded to Haig and Shaw Incorporated, and the final amount was $220,974.32 plus Washington State sales tax. And again, the funding source on that was our capital projects or bond fund. Maybe I'll just, since these are similar in nature, I'll just go through all 4 and then pause at the end if there's any questions. The second in this string of completed projects is a big one, and because it involves state match, it requires a resolution to actually certify the completion and finish the process of all of the state match funding and reporting requirements. This particular resolution is number 897, and it's certifying the completion of construction of Walnut Grove Elementary, the new Walnut Grove Elementary, obviously. And so the contractor on that is, I think it's specified on here, but I guess it's not on, that's Woodburn Construction, I believe, was the contractor on that particular project. And so the resolution will be submitted, and I think we've attached it to the agenda, or we will attach it to the agenda so that you can get the particulars specific to that project. But again, happy to say, even though the building's been occupied for well over a year now, the final completion of all of the punch lists and all of the manuals and certifications are complete. And so we're ready to release all the retainage and complete that project. The next two are shifting over to the general fund supported contracts. The first one is our recommendation to accept quotation number 2022-021, and it is the drinking fountain mitigation. And so by way of review, the legislature passed some very, very stringent standards on lead and maybe other compounds, but I think it's primarily related to lead in the drinking water dispersed from drinking fountains in public schools. And so our process every year is to test and then mitigate any that fall below that very, very granular standard. This particular contract was awarded to JRT Mechanical, and the amount was $72,916 plus Washington State sales tax to bring all those drinking fountains into compliance. And then our last one is our recommendation to accept contract number 2021-057. And this is a Costco Fire Systems. This one is more on the electronic system and the alarm systems. And so this particular contract was awarded back in May of 2022, and we've now we're satisfied with the work, and the contract's been satisfactorily completed. So it's our recommendation that we formally accept and close out that contract to Costco Fire Systems in the amount of $81,978 plus Washington State sales tax. So racing through those last four, are there any of those that I think you've seen others very similar, but are there any of those that you have questions or comments on? All right, then we can move ahead in our agenda, and looks like we have Taylor joining us to discuss the policy first reading. So I'll turn it over to Taylor, and I'll go ahead and pull it up on my screen.
All right, thanks, Brett. Hi, everyone. We're bringing forward new policy 1605, the Board of Directors operating commitments and protocols. We first discussed this at the board's retreat in August. The version that Brett just pulled up incorporates the feedback from that retreat, and so there's kind of 2 points that I was going to highlight for you in terms of some of the revisions since the version that you saw in August, and then we'll open it up to questions and discussion. So the first point to highlight was there was discussion about the timeline for the board's review. There's going to be an annual review and affirmation of the operating commitments and protocols. And in this version, the proposal is to have that review be done annually at one of the board's retreats rather than put a specific month into the policy. And then the second area that I wanted to highlight changes, because there was a lot of discussion, is the operating protocol number 3, communications. And so there's been some revision to that to reflect the input provided at the board retreat. That's on page 5, Brett. Okay. So those are the 2 areas that I just wanted to highlight, and then open it up to comments, discussion, any questions.
Yeah, I'll just add on that Wendy and I, Director Smith and I were a part of the kind of committee that works with Taylor to kind of review some of those changes we talked about at the retreat. And we really tried to, especially with the communication section, really kind of tease out some of the areas where maybe we've had confusion as a board just on, who's communicating, or also just making sure that it's clear, like for a community, what the process is. Cause I know we've had situations where, community members have said, I only heard back from one of you. It's like, well, our board process is that the chair reaches out, and, so we really tried to tease that out just so that it was clear to us, but also to, staff members or community members that reach out to us. So I hope that it's clear. But obviously, if any of my fellow directors have feedback, we can make Taylor go back to the editing board and make some more changes.
Well, okay, if there's nothing, then we'll recommend that it goes for first read at next month's board meeting.
All right, thank you, Taylor. And if it's all right, I guess we can march right into our last agenda item tonight under teaching and learning. And it's kind of the standard roster of new instructional materials that the IMC board has reviewed and is recommending. And so I'll just open it up for questions, or and certainly commit to following up. I doubt that I'll be able to answer any questions if there are any, but I can certainly pass those through our system to get you answers if there are any questions. All right, well then, I think that is all we had on the agenda, so I'll turn it back to Director Zavala Ortega.
Do we have anything we'd like to share? Comments, questions? No. It's conference week, so good luck to everyone. Don't forget about your conference. 2-hour early release tomorrow, right? For elementary. Okay, so I don't forget. Well, the meeting is over at 5:43 p.m. Thank you everyone for your time.
Yep.